Hey everybody, Danny J here on the DJB Productions Network. Hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button, leave some comments down below, share the channel, share the videos, have some fun. I'm telling you I have to do a lot, but you know what? I think you need to do what I asked you to do. How about that? It's Capes Not Included right here on the network. As always, joined by some great guys. I got Matt Sutter on the line with us.
Hey, how's it going?
There we
Long time no
go.
see.
Absolutely. And then we got from the MCU's bleeding edge, the man, true knowledge himself, Jeff S. Right
What's up,
there.
DJ? What
What's
you
up?
got, baby?
What's slapping in? All right. We got a great show for you. It is Capes Not Included right here on the DJB Productions Network. Once again, like I said, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're checking it out because we're putting up stuff all the time. This is going to be a great show. We have some great news that's been trolling around the internet. Spider-Man 4, Sam Rami, potentially in the works. I think, Sony, after a lot of the fumbles that they've had with some of their movies, and we'll talk about some of the movies as well, um, is looking to try and recoup, is looking to try and bring something back so that they don't look like this like washed up like laughing stock of the Spider Verse because their intentions are good, but I just think their how you say their application is what's bad, and I think in our eyes, and that's what's going on. But the potential is for Toby Maguire to come back as Spider Man, with the potential of Sam Raimi coming back to helm that movie again, so we can potentially get our Spider-Man 4, which fans have been looking for so many years now. If you remember after Spider-Man 3, where Ari Arad really forced the issue of having Venom stuffed in the movie, where Sam Raimi didn't really thought there was room for it, and the movie seemed to be stuffed. So therefore, it didn't really resonate with a lot of fans. It was not the best of the trilogy. And then Sony, right? And then when 4 was in development, and it was in development, Sony said, you know what, we're going to scrap this and go a different route. And then we got Andrew Garfield, and we went with Amazing Spider-Man, which was also a great movie. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then the less popular, but yet I liked it a lot, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Okay. It did have its problems, but I didn't think it was as bad as people make it out to be. I think comic book fans tend to be really, really harsh on something when they really shouldn't be. And we're going to get into some of these newer movies as well, where the same scenario happened. But definitely, guys, if we can get a Spider-Man 4, just outside of the MCU, what are our thoughts on this? Matt, I'll go with you first.
Again, as we've talked about when I've been on the show before, I'm kind of the comic book outsider. I'm not as deeply invested, in these characters. I'm ultimately looking for a movie that's going to entertain. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see it again. I'd love to see them, especially if Sam Raimi's involved. Because Sam Raimi, it just almost everything he touches ends up being at least good.
True.
If not absolutely just great. Regardless of the genre he's doing, he's just such a great director. He's got such great vision, and he really gives you a quality product, So I'd be excited to see it.
I think so. Jeff, what about you? What are you thinking?
It's all speculation. I don't think it's really going to happen. I really don't. I don't think Raimi's really going to. I think Raimi would probably do it, but Sony's really isn't going to invest the money after Madam Web to make another Spider-Man film. And then you got to take it to Marvel Studios, and on their end, they don't want to have their main character right now that they have that is their biggest box office draw that they still have left over from the OG Avenger period, right? Mm-hmm. They don't want that brand conflated with another Spider-Man to have to, even though it's like Sony Spider-Man, right? It's still competition. Do you see what I'm saying? And
yeah, but I got to disagree because I think, first of all, they got Craven coming out still.
So I'm just saying, from a general audience standpoint, you are people who didn't read the comics. They can be very confused.
Madam Web, well, when they market to non-comic book fans, that's what's going to happen. Is like that. But my point being is that they got Craven coming out, which looks like it'll be okay. I think it's going to be on par with Venom. Doesn't look like it's going to be amazing. Um, Madam Web. I said from the beginning, I have no reason, I have no understanding why they would make that movie because it's such a minor character. But I also don't think that Madam Web's failure is going to have them stop making live action Spider-Man movies. Not going to happen. If they can make money, and Sony is known for saying, "I want money." That's the only reason why they're pressuring Kevin Feige to make Spider-Man 4 a multi-level event rather than a neighborhood Spider-Man movie, because they want that money. They want that cash cow. And they're trying to invest as much money as possible. Understand the contracts, when MCU makes the movie, the distribution and a lot of the cash is going to Sony for Spider-Man. So Disney's not making all that money. They're not. They're making money on the back end with other stuff. They're not making money on the movie as much because that money's going to Sony. So Sony is still in the game. Don't let Madam Web fool you that they're going to just stop. They're not. And honestly, fans' reaction to Spider-Man No Way Home and having the 3 Spider-Men there and seeing Toby there, we can get, and it all depends on the rating. If we can get an older Spider-Man, if we can get, because I mean, it's 20 years later, you gotta understand it. So I mean, like, you're not going to have friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and meanwhile he's like 40-something years old. You know what I mean? Like, you now have the ability to delve into other things. I was actually watching another great show on YouTube, Screen Rant. Screen Rant. They were talking about it, and they said, how great would it be that we can maybe introduce the latter part of Spider-Man's life when he's trying to get out of it. Maybe we can introduce Spider-Girl at this point where he can pass the torch or something to that effect. I mean, there's a lot of great things out there for you to be able to write. And how about this? Granted, comic book fans are a pain in the ass because that's not like the comic. How about we write an original story? There's a go fucking figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How hard is it to write an original story instead of just saying that everything's already been written? Let's just adapt this comic book.
DJ, let me get a word in on Kraven.
Yeah.
Now, Kraven's not going to make as much money as Venom 3.
No.
But it could be a better movie than Venom 3. You don't know.
It could be. Venom made more money than it should have.
I'm just saying it might make more money, but we don't know. I saw Venom 2 in the theater, and it was pretty rough.
Oh, it wasn't that great of a movie. No, it wasn't.
No. I'm just saying.
I did not enjoy it as much as 1. 1 was okay, but 1 made more money than it ever should have been.
And Dan, you and I had talked about this even a while ago. I mean,
yeah.
I think Venom worked for the non-comic book geek.
Yeah.
So to speak. Because I watched it.
And Matt, they were eating off of all the MCU brand money too that was being made too.
Yeah, but the thing for me, like when I watched that movie, since I'm not as invested or going deep into these characters, as a excuse me, I didn't walk away from it going, "Oh, that movie was great." I walked away from that movie going, "That was a fun popcorn movie."
Yeah.
I'll watch it. I'd watch that again.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh my Lord, it's going to end up on, as much as I still love having physical, media. So it's not like I'm going to run out and buy the Blu-ray and it's going to end up on my shelf with all my favorite movies, the ones that it's like, even if I don't watch them as much, they have a special place, in my life, in my, but it's like, if I'm flipping through the channels, I'm not sure what I want to watch. I'm going through the guide and I see Venom's on. It's a pretty good shot. I'm gonna be, oh, cool. Boom. Stop surfing. Yeah, I'll watch it.
There was action. It was comedy. It was
Tom Hardy plays Venom. You can't go wrong.
It was a fun movie.
It was.
But again, I can see where the comic book purists would look at that and go,
that's where I'm at, Matt. That's where I'm at. That's really where it could fuck me up.
Well, then why didn't they read a comic book? I mean, that's the bottom line. What you can't,
DJ, you can't take that away. You can't take away the comic book background of somebody where like you when you were younger or whatever, right?
But what comic book fans, quote unquote, I hate to categorize them, But what comic book fans do, which you can't do, is you can't take 5 years of a comic book stories and then put it into a 2.5-hour movie.
No, of course not. And
It's-
we all know that. We all get that.
It's the same. It's this. I relevate it to a comic book is like a human, where a
But
movie
DJ,
is like a dog.
there's certain moves that can be made. Like you can go with an R rating instead of a PG-13.
Well,
right?
not if you're trying
You
to.
see what I'm saying? Though you
but
can.
if you're-
You can. You
but
have
you're-
levers. You have moves you can make.
But what you're not understanding is that who buys the merchandise? Children who can't get into the movie because you made it an R movie.
Mhm.
There's
That's true.
reasons why.
But
There's reasons why.
But that's where you get the bitching and like the discussion and whatnot from the more comic book accurate folk, right?
I
It's
mean,
like,
Well, and once again, but they have to understand. First of all, a movie is in life a dog versus a human. Okay, so things move a lot faster in a movie.
oh, I've
than
had
they
to
do
explain
in
this.
a comic book.
I've had to explain this to some of these diehard comic
You know what I
book
mean?
accurate types and whatnot before.
But as much as we would like to have a rated R everything because it makes it just better, but you isolate the people that are spending the money. I'll give you a perfect example. Cartoon Network changed their entire format about 15 years ago because they wanted to hit kids 8 years old and under. They said, the hell with the nostalgic people that are watching this when it first came out, which I was one of them, Gen Xer. Okay.
I love Cartoon Network.
And they got rid of every Hanna-Barbera cartoon. They got rid of everything except for Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes. And then they had the same 5 shows, which are all pointed towards kids 8 years or younger, because they are the ones that are buying toys. They are buying games. They are the ones that parents are buying the stuff for. We don't buy that stuff like that.
That's right.
And
it's a shame because when it first started out, it was such a great, it was such a great channel for, again, us Gen Xers that were watching all these cartoons going like, man, I remember being, 7, 8 years old, eating my cereal on Saturday morning, and watching this. But again,
I mean, on a weeknight,
it's all about business, because it's like, okay, you're catering to these folks, but it's like, again, they're not the people that are buying the merchandise. It went from basically the animated Nick at Night to this is what's hot, this is what boom, this is what's going to be product, this is what's going to bring advertisers in that are actually going to buy stuff.
If you're not following trends, then you're going to be left in the dust, because I'm telling you right now, as a person that bought action figures, and you ask my wife, I used to spend $85 a week on the average buying action figures, buying up full sets, X-Men, Spider-Man, etc. Right? I have over 700 action figures at my parents' house, still in storage right now, right? Because I was always buying, right? Those characters were about between $5 and $8, okay? Back when kids played with these toys, right? Now, those same quality action figures are average of $20 on up, because now they're collectors. They're not for kids to play, because kids don't play with them. Any of the stuff that's cheaper is all for kids that are younger, that are like, Mommy, please buy me this. Daddy, please buy me that. I want the video game instead. Blah, blah, blah. That's what we did a show on imaginative play, that it's gone because of the fact that we're in a digital age.
That's why on the Cartoon Network, their Adult Swim got me into anime. It did, because they jumped on anime because of the popularity of anime, right? Which it is popular. Right. You can't lie about it, right? The kids love it. You know what I'm saying?
But look what they did with Adult Swim. Look what they did with Adult Swim. They got rid of their studios, and they got rid of all their in-house studio work and bought all syndicated stuff because it's cheaper.
Mostly, yeah, they have.
It's cheaper because I could buy Family Guy, I could buy American Dad, I could buy King of the Hill already made for a syndicated price rather than paying in-house production. So everything is about money. It's not about the fans. So the fans that are sitting there saying, oh, I want a Spider-Man that's rated R. Well, guess what? You're not going to fucking get it, because it's not feasible financially. It's not.
I mean, it's like really, and as we've seen, and it's been great, but the only character that comic book character you can get away with is Deadpool.
Yeah. And because you know what? Because they were trying to fuck with that.
Deadpool is written for the older comic book.
Well, we'll see. Well, we're going to find out, aren't we, Matt? Because the MCU is going to give us the Punisher. here soon after a little bit and whatnot. We're going to have the Punisher in the MCU.
Punisher,
we'll see what happens.
I can see a Punisher. I think you could probably get away with.
But you know what though?
Because again, just the nature of his character, he is a very violent character.
He's such a popular character when he's done.
But no,
right.
They're not doing. They're not giving you a film though.
He could force them to make one. You never know. They could end up having to make a solo Punisher film just because they force him, because he's a great character.
He's a great character, but guess what? If he's not going to sell to youngins, they're not going to make it.
But you know what? Look at where the box office is at right now. All the films that made big money in 2023.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
Were Oppenheimer, Barbie, right? They were like Godzilla X, right? Yeah. Godzilla minus one. They were quality films, quality over quantity type films that were really well done, right? Oh, there you go. The money is there.
Well, here's though, Dan, where I'll sit there. I'll disagree with you as far as Punisher. Yeah, the kids aren't buying stuff, but the adults who would watch a rated R Punisher.
Yep.
Where they're going to be buying though, is they're going to be buying the hats, T-shirts. They're going to be buying the apparel.
Maybe.
And you know what? And you don't need a big budget.
And maybe like your older teens where the parents go like, you know what? I don't care. I mean, Dan.
Now, granted, you and I do things.
The F word gets thrown around like confetti, and we don't care if our kids, unless of course it's, something that's highly sexualized.
No, but Matt, think about it.
We're not worried about our kids watching an R-rated film and whatever. And, they're going to be buying the stuff and they're going to, I mean, there's so much merchandising you can tie.
But if you're the financial officer for Disney,
that's the point. My point.
You're not going to sit there and say, yeah, that might be true, but the safe bet is to make that shit PG-13.
Well, DJ, you said they'll never make the Punisher solo movie. You tell me, Matt. The Punisher is a character. You don't need a $250 million. You don't need a Secret Invasion $250 million budget to make a Punisher solo film.
No,
but you know what, Joe? It's not about making a film for money. It's about if you're not going to make a PG-13 Punisher movie.
No, it's going to be R-rated, and you're going to hope that adults will come in and they'll pay and they'll go to the movie theater and watch it.
Where you're going to see, hopefully, something like this happen is if Deadpool / Wolverine does tremendously well, and
it's going to do well.
They're hoping that it'll bring moviegoers back to the movie theaters because the movie theater has dropped considerably. Even now, the pandemic is over. They dropped considerably.
I'm telling you, Danny,
all these studios. It was funny because I was listening to some stuff recently, and you were probably listening to it too, Dan. I stream, even though I'm down here in South Carolina, I stream Preston and Steve's show.
It's Jeff,
and they've been talking about, how I forget who they had on recently. They were talking about some of the stuff the studios are doing, and they're saying a lot of the studios are realizing that this putting it out in the theater and like within like 6 weeks, it's now available to stream. Is bad business.
It really is.
Again, it's like you got to keep it in the theater and let people. It's like it's going to be in the theater, and if you don't catch it in the theater, it's going to be 4 or 5 months before you.
You're right. It's a really big. It's a really big thing. It really is. I'm glad you mentioned it.
It's
a big deal. That's the whole concept.
That's what these studios are realizing they have to do. They can't do this quick turnaround. That's why even in the 80s when all we had was VHS. It was like, the movie be out there for a couple months. And if you missed it, you missed it.
Right. That's one of the many moves I think they've made, the streaming services, Disney Plus, all of them, right, Matt? Right, DJ? And from a business standpoint, they're still learning as they're going. And at that point, I believe that they're learning their lessons from things like that. But when it comes to like the money, the dollars, right? When it comes to Spider-Man 4, and when it comes to Spider-Man as a brand, right? And this whole Sony Marvel dispute and all this shit over what happens with Spider-Man 4. My main thing is that after Madam Web, the whole landscape seems to be one of Sony is desperate with where they're at with their Sonyverse. They need Spider-Man at this point, like more than ever. And but Marvel needs him too. But the things with the MCU have been rough. You know that, DJ. Things have been rough. Look at the Marvel.
I'm telling you right now, you gotta think back. Toby Maguire, Sam Rami, Spider-Man. It beats it beat Star Wars.
Oh, maybe they make the film. I don't know. I'm just thinking about Spider-Man 4. I'm thinking about Spider-Man 4.
if Sony says out of all this, what was our cash cow? It was that.
Well,
It
no,
was that. It was Spider-Man.
Tom Holland Spider-Man. Tom Holland Spider-Man is the cash cow for both. No,
No,
that's
you're
not
talking
true.
about now. No, but no, you're absolutely
When it
wrong.
comes to box office numbers and whatnot, Tom Holland
Sony's-
Spider-Man will make the most money.
Tom Holland did not beat Star Wars.
No, not Star Wars. I'm saying for the MCU right now. It's
No, we're not worried about the MCU. I'm talking about Sony because that's what we're talking about here. It's Sony, and Sony's cash cow was Toby Maguire and Sam Raimi.
And
without
and
a
here's
doubt.
the thing, and here's the thing though. See, we're talking about Madam Web. Okay,
right.
I have not seen it yet.
No, I haven't either. I'm going to wait till
they're
it's
making all their money off the Tom Holland Spider-Man films.
Here's the
no,
thing.
it's back end money.
But see, here's the thing. Here's again where some of these studios, and unfortunately, regardless of the studio that's putting it out, and I guess Sony has been doing most of the DC stuff.
No,
okay,
No,
WB.
That's
Okay.
Warner
WB.
Brothers.
That's Warner Brothers. Yeah.
Okay. Well, either way, one thing that we see is like, all right, Madam Web. I'm not familiar with that character.
No, and a good amount of people are not.
So it's
I'm
like,
not either.
unfortunately, it's again kind of something that we were talking about before we started recording. It's kind of like, they want to push like this. And again, I don't anybody watching this take this the wrong way. They're so interested in putting out a movie with supposedly these strong women characters.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're putting it out there in a way that doesn't make sense. If you're going to show me
The
something like
packaging,
Madam
yeah,
Web,
The
you're gonna show me
trailers.
something like
Oh my
Madam
God.
Web, put Madam Web in some tied into some other movie that is connected. So, like say a Spider-Man movie, introduce that casual fan or that person who doesn't know anything about it. Bring them in there so you get a taste for that character and you show that it's a good character and well acted and well written character, and then put them in a standalone. Because this way, then this way, then too, if it's well written, it's a good character, somebody is going to be more likely to come out and say, okay, I'm still going to go watch that.
I was introduced to her in Spider-Man the Animated Series in the final season, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only way I know her. She's an old woman. That's the web of destiny, blah, 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 right? And she controls that shit. She's a psychic, blah, 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 right? There was no reason to have an origin story of her because nobody gives a flying fuck how this old lady became some blind soothsayer of the web of destiny. Nobody cares about that at all because it's such a far-fetched reality. We don't know about the web of destiny without just general information. What we got from the second Spider-Man movie, the second, Miles Morales movie, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know much about it anyway. So having her, and first of all, and then once again, I didn't see the movie, but my understanding, I've seen all the reviews. She comes off as an asshole in the movie. She's an asshole, right? The character, right?
Yeah.
So why do if I'm not going to like her to begin with, what do I give a fuck about her doing anything in the future? Why couldn't I get if you're going to do Madam Web, give me Madam Web. Give me this old soothsayer that helps a spider person. But the reason why is this. The contract Sony has with Disney, right? This is kind of a funny thing. They own Spider-Man, Sony that is, right? But they can't make a Spider-Man movie without Marvel being involved in it, right? Now, Spider-Man, the Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, that's Sony Animation. It's a completely different contract. That's why that could happen.
Yeah.
Okay? But you can't get a live-action Spider-Man, Miles Morales, yet until it's introduced with the MCU. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big thing that you have to understand.
I know. But and it's what I mean, and again, it's some of these studios, their hands are tied based on contract. But again, it's where the studios need to make smarter decisions.
Yes.
And say, what can we work with in what we can do contractually?
Yes.
To put out a good product that people are going to want to see, and how can we tie it in so people care to see it? Because again, too, there's really nothing that I've seen from any of the reviews that make me really, really want to go see that, except for the fact of seeing Sydney Sweeney in tight spandex.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I want to see that.
I mean, that's it. But
Jeff
it's like,
wants to
you
see
know
that.
what? It's, we talked about this on a previous episode where Buck Rogers, Princess Ardala, and Aaron Gray,
Yeah,
created
man.
like a very severe fetish thing for me going on. But it's like, but it's like beyond that, it's like, okay, well, you know what? Am I going to go see the movie just to see that? It's like, I bet you I can find pictures of her on the internet in the freaking costume and go like, yeah, all right.
Right now,
And it's
Jeff,
not going to cost me $9 a ticket plus $30 for freaking snacks in
right
a theater.
over on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Jeff and I last week we did a show on the Marvels. Okay, and without getting into details or whatever, the Marvels was an all-woman movie, and it was actually back end was all written, directed, the whole 9 yards by women, etc. It was like it was a lifetime fucking extravaganza, for lack of a better term, right? And not that I have any problem with it, but you know what? And I said to Jeff before, when you push an agenda over the story, you're losing me.
Yeah.
Right. Jeff is a hard comic book person. Okay. And looks for certain stuff here and there. You're more than me, Jeff. But like, I understand the whole production side of it because I took film, as far as my education is concerned. So I know promotion wise why this decision has to be made, why that decision has to be made, why sacrifices have to be, there's a give and take, etc. But like, I'll go into a movie to try and say, well, I'm going to try and grab some enjoyment out of it. But when you are pushing agenda after agenda after agenda, and I'm not getting the superheroes, I'm just getting bullshit. I told Jeff before, we watch superhero movies to escape reality, not have it pushed into our face.
Sure. It's a thing where, it's funny because it really relates to even things that have happened. I talked to so many times about my son about school and stuff, and it's like I hate kind of like English classes. High school English classes and college ruined my love of reading because it's like they're giving you a book and saying, all right, and they want you to find, well, what was the author trying to say about this, and deep analyzing it. And it's like, can't I just read a book and be entertained, with it? And then if the writer or, in the case of a movie, the director, the producer was trying to put some sort of other deeper meaning in there. It's like, if I'm entertained, that should be the number one thing. I should be entertained. And then if I also then pick up on the message you're trying to put out there.
Yes.
Great. But for number one thing, as you said, I want to escape reality. So the first thing I should be considering is, am I going to be entertained?
Right.
And that's it.
No, I hear you. It's the truth.
And everything else should be secondary. It should be under the surface.
Exactly.
It's there, and it's what drives the action, and what drives the story. But it's not the story's here. Your message should be here. Unfortunately, they're putting the story here, and their message is way up here.
Well, and that's what
it's like. Hey, this is what we're pushing, and hey, oh, and by the way, here's some action, and here's some funny stuff, maybe, and no. Exactly. It should be this, or at least at the very minimum, it should be this. On an even level. And unfortunately, we're not getting that, and it's if I want to be dealing with today's hot button issues, well then that's what I watch the news for, or I'll subscribe to certain YouTube channels,
right?
Because that's what they discuss. It's like I don't want it in the thing that I'm going in and trying to escape reality from. And it's one thing. And it's like, I think too that, I know we're talking about Sony, we're trying to talk about all this stuff, but it's one of the things that, I think Marvel did so well with so many of their characters. A character like Black Panther, where people of color can look at that character, and especially at the time, can look at it, hey, here's something that I can aspire to be. Right. And inspire somebody. but it wasn't, but and it's weird. And then when we see the movie, it was so empowering for people of color, but it was enjoyable for everybody because it wasn't pushing the agenda. Because again, the story and the entertainment was here, and the message was right here. It's along for the ride, and you get in there and you walk out of there going, man, because it's a character that inspires everybody.
Sure.
Granted, it pulls what was, it's at, a certain point in, world history, a perceived lower class of people and makes them feel empowered.
Right.
But, ultimately it makes everybody feel that way because the character speaks to everybody internally in some way, shape, or form. You can still relate to the character.
Well, that's the thing. And like I said, with Spider-Man 4, if we can get something, if we can get a good story, I mean, eventually, if you listen back to what the movie was going to be, Spider-Man 4, there were some decent characters in the movie, but like the story was a little off a little bit.
Now again, because I wasn't too familiar about it when it was in development, but who was it rumored that we were going to see?
John Malkovich as the Vulture.
Okay.
Great actor right there.
Oh yeah.
You're coming off of not Christopher Walken. You're coming off of Willem Dafoe. And then you get yourself John Malkovich. You had Alfred Molina. I mean, you're getting like top-notch actors. So to have him on there, I was like, that's a great thing. We were going to get Felicia Hardy, who's the Black Cat.
Okay.
And then what was going to happen is you're like, all right, so you got a couple good characters in there. Vulture's a good one. We haven't seen him yet. Blah, blah, blah. Get that. But then you're talking about, there was talk of saying like the Black Cat was going to find out that she's the daughter of Adrian Toomes, who's the Vulture. So she was then going to turn into a character called the Vulturess, which is a made-up character. It's not a character in the comic book. So that was kind of like, what is this? What is that kind of? What is that thing? And how much of that was Sam Rami? How much of that was Ari Arid, who was like in charge of all the Marvel content at that time? You don't know. I mean, so to me, it was great to have that movie not made in a sense because it seemed like it was going to be stupid. But if you give me a Vulture, we already have a Vulture. You can definitely give me another Lizard. There's a lot of characters out there. I had said with Jeff, unfortunately, Jeff had some technical difficulties. That's why he's not on not on right now. But I said to Jeff before, I was like, Jeff, the movie I want to see is the Man Spider. If you watch the animated series, Peter Parker mutates, continues his mutation a little bit, and he gets the six arms, right? And then he eventually becomes a Man Spider. And then in that movie, the Punisher, or in that cartoon, the Punisher comes after him to hunt him down. Jeff is back. Jeff is back. We got Jeff back here. Jeff is in no lights, Jeff.
Jeff is in a very dark place right now.
Jeff is in a very dark place right now. He's very dark. Jeff, to catch you up. Oh wait, Jeff's getting set up. Do your thing, Jeff. But my point was like in that cartoon, like the Punisher's going after the Man Spider, right? To hunt him down because he's going after people, right? The monster movie, right?
Yeah.
Craven, because he owes Spider-Man his life, or owes Spider-Man for saving Dr. Kafka, who was like or not Dr. Kafka, but his love interest or something like that. He goes after and hunts the Man Spider down to try and save him, right? Okay. So what kind of great movie would that be where Spider-Man is now the villain, okay, in a sense, a tragic villain, and these other guys who are in the Spider-Man lure have to try and save him now. What a great movie that would be.
I'd love to see that too.
And nobody's fucking writing that. I can't write it on time.
Well, Dan. Again, you do nothing.
I do nothing. Yeah, I do nothing. I produced fucking 16 different.
You're the male version of Peggy Bundy.
Yeah,
You're just missing the long red hair,
You
We
know,
put a wig on you, shave you down, and you'll be sitting there on the couch.
I
with
wear
your
dark
bonbon.
glasses because lights is just too much for me. Yeah, but here comes Jeff. Here comes Jeff.
But again, that would be, as we kind of hit at the beginning.
Jeffrey,
give us something new. Give us something fresh. Give us
Yeah.
something different.
He's back. Jeff, I was saying, like with Spider-Man 4, I went over the original. Do you remember the original? Throw for Spider-Man 4 before it was cut was like John Malkovich as the Vulture. We were going to have the Black Cat, and somewhere in the movie, in the story, the Black Cat or Felicia Harding was going to find out that she was the daughter of Adrian Toomes, which is not a thing, right? And she was going to become the Vulture-S, a made-up character for the movie. Like she was going to not be Black Cat and be Vulture-S. So that was what was heavily rumored about the story, that Sam Rami was going to be directing in Spider-Man 4. And I was, for one, saying, thank God it didn't happen. And then I was telling Matt about the story, and I've told you a couple times about the movie I wanted, which was The Man Spider. That's what I want.
Well, DJ, they just casted Chandler Riggs from The Walking Dead, Carl, right?
Yes.
Rick's son,
okay.
As that Spider-Man in like a horror Spider-Man film right now. Like the
what-
trailer's out, I guess. There's
what
like it's some sort of horror Spider-Man film. And they cast this, that look it up. They cast the kid Chandler Riggs from The Walking Dead that played Carl as this horror movie Spider-Man.
Matt, you're the man in the chair. Look that up.
All right, let's see.
I just found out about it.
When did you find out? Is it confirmed?
Today.
Though?
I saw an article about it. Yeah, it's confirmed.
Is it made?
That'll see it. That'll find it right now.
Is it made or being made?
The trailer's already made. It's already been made.
You're not talking
comicbook.com. The Walking Dead's Chandler Riggs is Spider-Man in new trailer. Yeah.
I hope it's not a fan-made thing.
No.
Now Riggs is portraying the iconic character of Peter Parker in a film which has no association with Marvel or Sony. Quote, based off characters from the Amazing Spider-Man comics by Marvel. The movie's trailer offers in its description on YouTube. This is a non-profit. It's a non-profit fan film. Unaffiliated, not endorsed by Marvel or Sony. The new film titled The Spider is a horror genre spin on Spider-Man, with the character having 3 live-action iterations that have played in theaters, blah, 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 blah. A new thing on Spider-Man. The trailer's description reads... this
is not unlike Brightburn.
I got to see this trailer. I got to see this trailer.
It's called a short film. No, hang on.
Spider-Man got stuff faster than you, Matt.
That's going to be the closest version you're probably ever going to get, DJ, of your whole thing.
I know.
Spider-Man. This is it right here, brother. I want you to know.
I'm going to see if I can find the trailer.
Or rewatch the animated series.
This is going to be it, DJ. This will be like the spot for you, in terms of delivering that. But no, I'm totally hip to the whole. Believe me, I've had to spell it out to people before on the Bleeding Edge about the whole fact that you can't expect the comic books to translate neatly and perfectly into like a cinematic form or whatever, right? Or a TV form. It doesn't work that way.
No,
it never is going to work that way. You're going to have to tweak characters and tweak things and tweak secondary characters. But I think that overall, when it boils down to it, flipping the coin on Spider-Man 4 from the Sony perspective to like the Tom Holland Spider-Man perspective, I find the Sony, Marvel Studios, Disney versus conversation so interesting, just because from a business standpoint, there's so many competitive influences on what's going to happen with Spider-Man 4, right? Yet at the same time, because of how weakened the MCU brand is at this point, right? And then off Madam Web, apparently, how that really fucking rocked Sony, right?
Bob Iger is getting a lot of, I don't want to say negative press, but he's getting negative press because he's canceling a lot of stuff.
It's good.
And it is good. No, you're absolutely right. It is. He basically, I'll put it in a nutshell, because he did actually tweet something or whatever the case was. There was an article But he basically said, if it's not going to make money, we're not going to put it up. Bottom line.
They
and
should.
he's right. He's right. And once again, this goes back to what Kevin Feige said before about quantity versus quality. Putting 8 million shows out is not going to make you money.
It's already been proven that the stuff that's made quality makes money.
Right. And putting 8 million shows out is not making money.
No, they got to cut down on the live action Disney Plus series hardcore. They're going. Yeah. They way overdid that shit. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they paid $216 million for Secret Invasion.
Oh, Secret Invasion, I know that was
episodes of that.
That was. You realize that was more money than they spent on.
Especially Gervais.
I just heard it. I was watching it today.
Hygiene.
I think it was more than the Marvels.
You can write that.
Yeah.
The Marvels. No. The Marvels to make the movie.
The Marvels budget was bigger.
Creator of the show.
Are you sure?
Exactly
yeah.
Was one of them was either Marvels or Ant-Man Quantumania.
The Marvels was almost like 220 plus million.
It only made half of that back.
Oh yeah, no, it's a joke.
Yeah.
When comedian Louis
that trailer was really fucking me up.
Broke character with Kate McKinnon during a 10-minute museum sketch, thanks to his hilarious.
Who's that?
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. But yeah, Matt, Jeff, let me ask you this: if you were going to pitch a Spider-Man 4, Toby Maguire, Sam Rami, what would it be?
It would be Sam Raimi coming in and doing this first installment of this new trilogy with actual Tom Holland Spider-Man. Because again, I'm not concerned about the Sony stuff. I'm concerned about the MCU stuff.
Right, but Spider-Man 4 is not going to be MCU, so you got to cut that out.
No, but they're doing Spider-Man 4. They're doing the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
You're missing the point. No, you're missing the point. They're not talking about Spider-Man 4 or Tom Holland. They're talking about Spider-Man 4, Sony Spider-Man 4.
Yeah, but they're doing contractually, they're doing 3 more films with Tom Holland.
Yeah, Spider-Man. But that's not the point we're talking about. Everything that's been dropping today is about the high potential that Toby Maguire and Sam.
I don't know anything about that. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff.
Yeah, that's been all over the internet.
Yeah, I don't know. All I worry about is the MCU, man, because I cover so much shit, right? Like I can't, there's only so much I can read and so much I can watch.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why we're arguing on this show. Because I said,
oh no, I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's
Toby Maguire. Yeah, Toby Maguire, Sam Raimi, and the thing is, and this is what
they've been rumoring it for months.
Right. Well, the big thing is now is contractually, like I said, Sony, even though they own Spider-Man, right? They cannot, based on their contract with Disney.
Well, they own the cinematic and TV rights to the brand.
They cannot make a live action Spider-Man without Marvel being involved. Marvel Studios.
No, because that's the contract that they signed.
That's the contract.
That's the agreement.
So the point is that if we get a Sam Raimi, Toby Maguire Spider-Man 4, has nothing to do with MCU Spider-Man.
No, it would be outside of the MCU completely.
It's a Sony thing, right? What the point they were saying was, hey, now Kevin Feige would be involved, not necessarily like.
Well, of course he'd be
involved all over it because it's not MCU.
No, but he's been involved in everything from going back to the first Spider-Man films to the X-Men, Fox X-Men to all that.
But to have him sit there, to have him overseeing, that could bring Sony back up after this whole Madam Web debacle. You know what I mean?
It's going to take time to make that film.
Well, once again, and they got Craven to kind of, but
I'm just saying that takes time. Just because I'm saying, like it's going to take a year and a half, 2 years to actually flush that out if they really are going to do it. In the meantime,
but again, it's one of those things where if it's going to take that long, I'd rather wait that long and have something come out that's going to be interesting.
Problem is, though, here's the problem, guys. Sony has already proven that they don't want to wait for anything. They
seem to be hurting. I mean, honestly, I think
I don't know why.
From what I understand, they were really banking on Madam Web.
They really,
they really were.
And why? Right?
I don't know, but that was a stepping stone for them. They saw that
they have to think about it. We're talking about Spider-Man 4, Sam Raimi, Toby Maguire. You're talking about going back 20 years to the first Marvel movie that they have to revert back to that to try and save some face. right?
I think they've just been rolling with the punches with some of how these films have done. Morbius, even though Venom 2 made money, it was critically critiqued badly.
Yeah, I didn't like
right?
it. Can
I'm
we
just
also,
saying it was.
well, Venom 1, we all enjoyed it, but it wasn't as great as it made money.
No, and it's not like the MCU movies are killing it these days either. They're not good either. So
no, but we're not even going to compare it to that. As far as what they did, I gave them credit to sit there and say with Venom, the first one, right? That they pulled off a decent movie without Spider-Man being involved. Mm-hmm. I gave them that credit. I said,
sure.
It's a decent movie. Okay, I could do it. I mean, I don't know why he's like he was not like Spider-Man. They kind of really he didn't have webs. He just did his thing. And
that's what I really want to see, DJ and Matt, is how are they going to work? They have to take Tom Hardy. I don't believe for a second that Tom Hardy's done playing Venom. They have to cross.
Well, I think it's solo film. I think it's solo film.
They have to cross him over to the MCU. They have to.
Yeah. Well, they gave us that in the end credit sequence. They have to do it. No Way Home.
Well, it might not be him though. It could be another Eddie Brock.
I don't think so.
I mean, because again, but
I mean, you can see him in Secret Wars. Maybe
I was very excited to see that.
They're saying that's what you'll see. Venom will be a part of
Secret Wars. Yeah. Wars you'll see everybody. You'll see Andrew Garfield. You're going to see Toby Maguire. I'm sure. Toby
Maguire will be there most definitely.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But like Spider-Man or Venom 2, like you said, critically, I didn't like it. I didn't think it was that good.
No.
They did make positive changes with Carnage.
It was watchable. It was watchable. Some of it was very watchable, but then some of it wasn't. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, right. It lost.
At least I didn't walk out like I did the Aquaman 2. I walked out for 20 minutes.
They took up to 40 minutes.
I actually found that one pretty enjoyable.
You know what? It was so slow. I watched the whole movie. It was okay.
The pacing could have been better, but overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'll go back and watch it again.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would based on the reviews I heard.
Jeff,
I'll go back and watch it.
Jeff, don't watch it professionally. Just sit back and watch it.
I'll go back. I have to watch it because I have
big.
Matt, I loved Aquaman. Aquaman 1 was a great movie.
It was.
Yeah,
it truly was.
It was really well done.
Now, what did you guys think of Morbius? Honestly, forget about what people said. I liked it. Why was it rough?
Because honestly, I watched it and I don't even remember seeing it. Like Matt, I watched it. You see what I'm saying?
And that's one that it kind of flew under my radar because again, it's again a character that I'm not as familiar with, but I liked it. I mean, it was one of those things where I'm surprised because since being kind of like the whole vampire thing, I'm surprised I didn't watch it. But I think it's like one of those things that kind of came and then it was out of the theaters and then all of a sudden it's like I just completely forgot about it.
You didn't watch it at all?
Didn't watch it at all.
There was no cohesion.
Not yet.
For me, DJ, there was no cohesion in the film. It was all over the fucking place.
Oh, I didn't think it was. I don't understand why you say that. I'm not going to argue it. But I mean,
I'm just saying. I felt like
I thought it was
or maybe I thought it was just too simplified. I'm not sure, but either way,
that could be.
It was hard for me to stay attached to the movie.
I don't because what went in is that you saw that he was sick. You saw what he was doing. Like you kind of didn't know. What you didn't know is why was he using bats.
I like that actor too. I do. I like him.
He's okay. You don't know why really he's using bats.
Jared Leto. Yeah, I know.
You don't know that. So there's your one plot hole, right? You're like, all right, well, I don't understand. Like at least in something you get, oh well, spiders do this and spiders do that, and they could do this, right? You get like somewhat of an explanation, right? You didn't really get an explanation as to why he was into bats. Like you probably got a sentence and that was about it, right? But then once it happened and he started getting the thing, he didn't grow bad or anything like that. Like he started gaining these powers and stuff like that, but he also started getting these urges. Much like anybody who was bit, let's say, by a vampire and didn't know what a vampire was. And they're discovering this thing for the first time, right? His friend who was jealous of him and was like so desperate to get out of that situation said, fuck safeguards and fuck this, I'm going to do it. And he said, no, don't do it because it's a curse. And you know what I mean? That's the story that you're getting, right? And his friend did it, and his friend got like obsessed and got like the power. He went from being like bullied and stuff. Understand these guys were really, really sick. right? And they were bullied a lot as children, right? And they were not strong at all, physically at all. So to be able to go from being so weak that you're just about dying, right, to being like so fucking strong that you could do whatever you want, it was an overpowering thing where that guy morally couldn't handle it and just said, "Fuck it, I'm now the world's my oyster," type of thing. And Morbius was like, "No, you can't." So then they fight, right? It was pretty simple, but I thought it was a decent story. I got a Morbius movie out of it without Spider-Man. Okay, it totally was better than Venom 2.
Well, in all reality,
Yeah.
the only reason that he's even a part of the Spider-Man, deal with Sony is just because it was introduced in Spider-Man comics. But Morbius is known for the Midnight Sun stuff and for fucking with Blade and Ghost Rider and stuff like that and whatnot, not Spider-Man.
Well, no, and he's also in the Spider-Man animated series in a full arc.
That's true. You're right. Yes, you're right. That's true.
That's where I found out about it. Right?
Yeah.
The living vampire. Now, so I mean, and he's a great character.
It's a good character. Yeah, when done right, when done well. Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed that I don't think that's a character that they're willing to cross over into the Marvel universe or whatever whatnot. So I feel like we're not going to have a Morbius right in the MCU, unfortunately.
Not well. I got the problem I have is that I don't know that we're going to get a good Blade movie.
We'll see. Honestly, I mean, Mahershala Ali stuck around for all this time to make the motherfucker. I'd have to believe he'll deliver.
He's forcing so many rewrites. God bless him, because that's what you want. Is an actor's going to put his name on it. He's like, hey, I'm not going to be garbage.
It's like The Punisher, man. It shouldn't be that hard to make a fucking Blade movie.
No, it shouldn't. But also to understand that Blade is although a great character, there's only so much you can do with fucking Blade.
No, and I know you got to connect it to the universe and all that shit because it's the MCU and all that crap. So it's got to connect the different characters and tie off shit and all that kind of crap too of different characters, all that stuff. But still, right? I mean, they're going to want to put Easter eggs of Ghost Rider in there and all that kind of crap. Still, it's Blade.
I mean,
if you just make an R-rated action film with vampires and monsters and shit and whatnot, right? Have some nudity or whatever, right? A little nude titty shot or whatever, and have some like Wesley Snipes action going on. It'll make money.
All right, I'll volunteer to take my shirt off, but that's all I'm going.
You're not Wesley Snipes, baby.
No, I'm not. I'll be a stunt double. Could you imagine? Stunt double. Why did Wesley Snipes turn into that fat white guy? Whatever.
No, give Wesley Snipes props, man. Like honestly, without the Blade films, I don't think there'd be an MCU.
No, and you know what though? Whenever I hear about Black Panther. And all these poser fans, and I'll say it, I don't give a shit if anybody gets pissed. All these poser ass fans who sit there and say, "Oh, Black Panther, oh, he's the first black superhero." Fuck, he is. Go back 20 years. Wesley Snipes was the first black superhero in movies. So I don't want to hear your bullshit. Now,
but rest in power to Chadwick Boseman. That motherfucker was
it was great.
Motherfucker was a lion.
Right now. I can tell you, Black Panther 2, I wasn't crazy about it.
Oof. Another oof.
It was one woman away from being a Lifetime movie.
No, they had Namor be good for like most of the movie, then all of a sudden at the end he just got his ass beat.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't want to recast him out of like respect for him, and I think that's great.
Although what I really saw this as though, and I hope it's something. It's a way to transition to another Black Panther.
Yeah.
Being a recast Black Panther, but it's not T'Challa.
It must have been hard.
I saw the whole movie more or less as a tribute to Chadwick Boseman.
Right. Well, you saw at the end again his son. You get the son.
Introduced that he has a son that at some point we will get another Black Panther and still, have without having, being compared against what Chadwick Boseman did as T'Challa. We will just get the next Black Panther in line.
Well, here's the problem. And here's the problem with
if you find somebody who's got that kind of charisma that can carry it off the way Chadwick did,
good luck with that.
It'll be continuing his legacy versus he's dead now. We have T'Challa.
Matt, do you really think you're ever going to find another Chadwick Boseman?
No, I don't think you're going to get somebody carry it as quite as well as he did. But I think there is hope that there is somebody out there that they'll be able to find that will give you a good, convincing Black Panther that you're not, again, going to compare it to Chadwick Boseman.
Right.
There always will be, a bit of a comparison, obviously. But again, the main thing is what is to set up so that we eventually get another Black Panther that can be, can continue to carry that character and give us more movies without, again, T'Challa being recast and just essentially,
right,
with lack of a better term, shitting on Chadwick Boseman's legacy, in those movies. Because
that's why they should cast you, Danny. They should have you. They should have you be the Black Panther,
dude. Let me tell you something. And I would do that.
If you have a white Black Panther,
I'd be like,
you can't go wrong because then you can't say that you're trying to fuck with Chadwick because you're white.
Yeah, right. Like I'm the White Panther, motherfucker.
As a side note, since we are talking to him, like I said, I don't think you're gonna find anybody because I've seen. I mean, Chadwick Boseman, like the first time I actually saw him anything I saw him in was Black Panther.
Yes.
But after that, I started stumbling across the other movies he did prior to and just after.
Yeah.
And the man was just incredible.
I didn't watch that movie where he's a detective in New York or something like that.
The 21 Bridges?
Yeah, I didn't watch
that movie was good.
Was it really good? I got to watch that.
He was great. He was great as
James Brown. The trailer looked great.
But think about this for a second. Here's another thing for you guys to say.
He was just so tremendously talented, and that's where I think you're going to have a hard time finding another Black Panther.
We are talking about Spider-Man 4 Sony edition.
Yes.
Okay, I got specified.
And we keep getting away from it, talking about everything
else.
I know. What else is
I get it now. I get it now, Danny.
Thank you. I just wanted to explain it to Jeff. No, but they created, and this is why Miles Morales is not my Spider-Man, and it's not for any racial reason or anything like that. So, any of you people don't want to call race cards, shut the fuck up and get off my channel, okay? Because I'm not a racist, okay? The problem is they made this character. They said, why don't we have a minority be this iconic superhero? How great would that be for inclusion, right? We're not talking about inclusion. People that, as a whole, generally feel like they can't get a leg up. Now this kid's one of the greatest superheroes of all time, right? That's a great thing, right? Now, the problem is they made Miles Morales. Okay, he's a half Spanish, half black kid, right, or Dominican, or something like that, right? And the problem is though, he's the black version of Peter Parker. He's exactly the same, quick-witted, blah blah blah, whatever, and does everything identical to Peter Parker, right? Then on top of that, he's fighting all Parker's enemies. Then on top of that, guess what? His Peter Parker dies, but let's bring another Peter Parker from another fucking dimension, right? So this kid is a sidekick throughout his entire introduction.
And then when we get across the Spider-Verse, we find out he was a mistake.
It was a mistake to begin with. Jeff, he was a mistake, the poor kid. He was supposed to have a fucking paper route.
They're heavily rumoring it lately for the last couple of weeks that they want to insert him in the. I'm not bringing it just off this topic that they want to insert him into the Spider-Man Tom Holland Spider-Man 4 film.
Tom Holland has mentioned in interviews and stuff like that they would love to bring him in and stuff like that. But here's the problem, though.
It's too soon.
There needs to be no Tom Holland.
Yeah.
How are we going to launch with another Spider-Man?
Or do it in the third film or something like that, whatever, when he's going out, right?
Right. But here you go.
Yeah.
But why couldn't Miles Morales be a complex character? Here's your opportunity, right? To really relate this character, right? As a minority, and I'm not going to speak like I know minorities, so don't get on my fucking case again. If you're going to go that shit, get off my channel. I got to fucking constantly do disclaimers as I say shit, right? But if you're going to have a kid who's a minority, have him face reality in a sense. A lot of minority kids feel like they don't have a leg up. A lot of minority kids feel like they're downtrodden by more dominant races. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but that's what it is, right? So why couldn't this kid have that, that's his world, right? And he has to rise above that because he's now Spider-Man. He has his own mountain to climb to become this great, because once again, with great power comes great responsibility. You see what I'm saying? He can't take the easy way out. He can't sit there and just automatically think, well, I'm only going to save him because he's a brother. No.
Isn't the whole concept of the character supposed to be that it's supposed to be a seamless thing that he is Spider-Man as Black? Like,
I don't know. The assumption was, the pitch was, Jeff, when they made him, that anybody behind them can be behind the mask, right? So that means that it doesn't have to be a white guy. It could be an Indian guy. It could be a black guy. It could be a Chinese guy, right? So any race can sit there and say, like some people sit there and say, oh, I'm black, so I'll never be Superman, even though there is a black Superman in another comic somewhere, But you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole identifying. Like, you don't have to.
All I know about Miles Morales so far is from watching the animated film. So, like, that's all I know. I don't read current comics, so I have no idea.
No, I don't either. But that was the thing about it. I read about it.
I don't have no problem with him. He seems okay to me as a character. I have no issue
with
him.
But he's Peter Parker. If you close your eyes,
I guess essentially. But I mean, at the same time, though, like,
what's the point of changing it? What's the point of changing it?
It's just like guests that come on that are African American on my shows and whatnot that are really well spoken and like really like nerdy or geeky, right? But happen to be black, right? They're just like Peter Parker too.
My point being, though, and their pitch was have somebody different be Spider-Man, right? Here's your opportunity to make him different, and they didn't make him different.
They should have made him non-binary.
Like Dan said, it's almost like they put Spider-Man in blackface.
Yes, and I think that's even more insulting than anything else. That this kid's not allowed to grow.
His personality is not that far removed from the Peter Parker from Peter Parker.
No, if you attach non-binary to the blackface, though, it rules out the blackface. You can pull off the blackface because you're not binary.
Yeah, that's right. It's neutral.
Yeah, it shields
you. Eyes. It's no eyes. But my point is, if this kid had like this inner struggle where he had to really become a hero because he had to fight his own self-prejudice, his own interpretation of the world, because he's young. Keep in mind, he's young. So now you've got an impressionable kid. And you know how kids are. They think they know everything and blah, blah, blah. And that's, and you watch like young kids and be like, oh, I'm black, I'll never do that. And then you have older black people who are like, no, you could be whatever you want. You understand what I'm saying? Like there's people that have knowledge and people that just perceive the world in a very like different way. So therefore they have to be taught and they have to learn. And this was Miles Morales. This was his opportunity to learn to become Spider-Man, what Spider-Man's mantle is, right? Not just anybody could be Spider-Man in a sense, right? So, and then on top of that, give him his own once again, I fucking hate that they're so lazy. They rely on what's in the comic books. Create a new story. Create a new villain.
At the end of the day, AJ, if they don't take care and handle their business with the Spider-Man they already have, whether it's Sony or Disney, right? If they don't take care of what's at hand, right? Miles Morales ain't gonna matter later on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But you know what though? But here's the thing though too. If they create their own original story, right? And they create their own original villains, so to say, there's nothing to compare it to. So now you don't have the naysayers like, oh well, yeah, Civil War. That's not the way it went down in the comic books.
Well, that's why
Venom. That's not the way it went down in the comic books. You understand what I'm saying? Like you have nothing to compare it to, so you are able to create them. Now people can sit there and say, I can watch this fresh and enjoy this movie for what it is without my own self-prejudice and self-judgment going into the movie.
I guess that's when you're an MCU fan, though.
There are so many times that it's like, especially, I've talked to Dan like with the whole MCU.
Yeah.
Back to it. It's like Dan will probably remember. I called him up. I didn't see Doctor Strange in the theater, and the next MCU movie was coming out, and I'm all like, look, I'm like, can I follow what's going to happen, or do I need to watch Doctor Strange? And he said, you'll probably be able to follow without seeing Doctor Strange, but I recommend that you see it so that you are more familiar with the character and his character arc and what he does in this movie will make a lot more sense. And I watched it because again, my thing was I wasn't very familiar with Doctor Strange. So I'm like, do I want Doctor Strange? So Dan's always kind of my sounding board. But then again, I'm going in with it to the point where, again, I don't know this character. So as long as the character has been well cast, well written, the movie's been well written and directed and everything else, I'm going to sit there and be all like, that was freaking cool. Because I have no other base. I'm coming in fresh. It's fresh eyes. I don't have any preconceived notion of what this character should be or what they should do. So as Dan's saying, you take that character that you knew and create a new story. Because these comic books have been around for so long, these characters have been so around. So there have been all these different stories and different timelines, and all of these different people have written the stuff. And so why can't you do that with a movie?
Right.
Give it a new story, a new character, a new villain. It's just something.
You are not going to get everybody satisfied. You're not going to satisfy your comic book fan.
And you're not.
You're not.
But again, that's why then too, even when you don't look, you take the movies out of the equation, you have the hardcore comic book people going, oh, well, this particular writer's version of this character was so much better than this one's, and and there's that argument back and forth. This character arc, it sucked when this guy did it, and it was better when this guy did it, and that guy wrote it, it was trash, or it was drawn trash, and everything else. So I mean, you're always going to have that. You can't please everybody all the time. But again, if you're trying to bring in something that costs as much as a movie and takes all the time and energy to make a movie, give it something new. Because, again, you're going to bring the people in who are familiar with the character, but it's coming in and you're giving them something they've never seen. They have nothing to compare it against. So as long as you're making a good quality movie, they're going to walk out of there going, that was cool. I want to see more of that. I'm interested to see where this is going to go.
I'll pitch another movie for you. Here you go. The World Without Spider-Man, right? And what this is, you get Ben Reilly. You want to fucking go into the comic books, comic book fans? You get Ben Reilly, who's the Spider-Man clone, right? Who's the Scarlet Spider. And somehow he gets thrown into a dimensional warp, or however the fuck you want to write it, right? And he goes to a world without Spider-Man. And everything's the same, except there was no Spider-Man to stop all this shit from happening, right? So now he's there, and now he has now found a place for himself that he could step in and be Spider-Man, the Scarlet Spider, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can write these things. Spider-Man Unlimited, which was a cartoon that was like a quasi sequel to Spider-Man the Animated Series, and it didn't go over well, and it was like compared to Batman Beyond, and he goes to Counter Earth, and he has a new suit and all this other shit. I actually enjoyed the cartoon, but the cartoon would have been better had he had some slightly like he had different villains, which was once again what I was looking for. Because he was fighting the High Evolutionary. He was fighting all the people that they did in what was the third movie with Rocket and all them?
Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Volume 3. All that story, Spider-Man Unlimited did. He went to a planet with all those animal people, and he had to fight the High Evolutionary. So I was like, all right, this is cool, right? Now, granted, he had Counter-Earth versions of all his famous characters. Like, you didn't need all that. That's where it gets cheesy. Like, I don't need another Green Goblin. I don't need another Kraven. I don't need another Electro and all this other shit. But it was like they put it in there for whatever, right? But, like, I was like, that's cool. So why can't we do some kind of original story where Spider-Man now has to be out of his element and fight new people? Right? Why can't we do that? Spider-Man 4 for Sony, the sky's the limit. Now they're going to go nostalgic because, once again, I think it's a matter of saying, hey, let's go back to what made us money. Because we're not making money on our own doing this, right? And Kevin Feige being involved with their money, they're going to make money one way or the other, right? It's the problem is, I think, is that the executives at Sony are too much into making this, and it's blinding them from what needs to be done, and giving Jeff his rated R superhero movies.
They're looking for that big payday once, instead of saying, let's build something that is long term and
DJ,
has legs.
I got to dip in a minute, brother.
What are you gonna do?
I got to dip in a minute. If you could hear me.
Yes. Oh, you got a show to do, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Well, we're actually ending this anyway because it's now an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah. So Jeff, that was great timing.
Thank you, sir.
That was great timing.
I'm sorry I bailed on you guys earlier when I had Wi-Fi issues.
I know.
It's all right. Like I said, I had to duck out because again I was trying to pull that trailer up and I brought it into OBS and it's like okay, I couldn't get it to pause and I dump it out of the thing and it's like the audio is still going. I'm like it's not even on my computer anywhere. Why
don't
you hate it when you get that audio that you can't find where it's coming from or whatever?
I had to dump out of StreamYard OBS and just restart it so I could get rid of it.
Go over to.
My apologies for all that additional, nonsense audio that was coming through because I was like, oh crap, turn on my desktop audio. I'm clicking stuff into my.
It was my favorite moment of the show.
Go over to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them on Instagram, right, Jeff?
Yeah, and everything. Yeah. All the
socials. And you can find them on YouTube as well. Okay. He's going to be doing a show tonight. You're doing a live show tonight. What are you doing tonight?
Yeah, we're reviewing Deja Vu, the Denzel classic from, if you want to call it a classic, from, I believe, 2006?
I know which one you're talking about, yes.
Yeah, we're reviewing that. And we're doing drinking games, like I told you, so I'm probably going to get shitty.
So Jeff is sober right now, all right? So just as a comparison. Yeah. So you're going to see Jeff drunk later on.
Yeah.
So check him out. That's going to be on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. That's live on Facebook as well, right?
Yeah, live on everything.
So
Twitch, all the major platforms.
So if you're on like on any of those platforms, just go over to the channel, go over to the MCU's Bleeding Edge, and then you'll be able to check that out in just a couple minutes. Actually, Jeff's going to be jumping on there.
Stacy's coming over, whatnot, everything to do Street Fighter with us next Friday.
That's fantastic. Stacy Robel, who's on our show, is going to do that. Matt Sunner, you can see him on here, Capes Not Included. You can see him on Shit Your Pants Wednesday. You can see him on DJs After Dark. You can see him on a couple other shows as well, I think. And Matt's my number one. He's my Commander Riker.
I pop in and out where I'm needed, but I mean, we've got new DJs After Dark content, coming up soon. So Danny's got that working, and myself, Danny, and our good friend Jason Leach, who couldn't be on with us tonight. We've got some movies in the works for Shit Your Pants Wednesday. We've been dormant on that for a little bit. So we've got a whole laundry list of movies that we all have to watch that we've been bouncing off each other. And I've got something interesting potentially that's a little outside of our wheelhouse, but I want to pitch to Dan. So I think it might be something kind of cool. But it definitely pertains to Shit Your Pants Wednesday.
Oh, okay, good. Because I didn't want to do another fucking show.
No, we're not doing another show. It's just something fun. I think we might try doing
leave me alone.
on one of our episodes of Shit Your
Pants. Let me know what your schedules end up running, guys. Whatnot, everything, right? Like you got, I like to review movies, so like let me know.
Absolutely.
Let me know what you're doing.
Great. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, once we have a schedule laid out, we'll let you know. And then this way, then if you've seen the particular movies, or if you want to watch it before we do it, you can jump in there. Or if you just kind of want to be in there, and because I mean, there's times we've done shows where one of the three of us has watched it and the other two haven't, but we still talk about it. So it's a good time.
I always watch. I have to.
Yes,
it's for those of you who aren't familiar with Shit Your Pants Wednesday, who aren't watching it. It's where Danny, myself, and a good buddy Jason, and maybe Jeff coming in here, maybe a few other guests, where we talk about lesser known or low budget horror movies and whether or not it's worth watching. We're talking about whether it's so bad it's good, or it's one of those hidden gems. We came across it and it's like you probably never heard of this thing.
I see a lot of opportunities. I see a lot of opportunities in this.
Yeah, it's fun. Trust me. We never talk about movies that are so bad that they're just bad.
Yes.
There's got to be something where there was some.
There's got to be a redeeming quality.
There had to be
either you can make fun of it.
You're making fun of it. You're giving it the Mystery Science Theater 3000 treatment, or you're watching it going,
wow, that was really good.
Surprisingly good. So anyway, I'll turn it back over to you, Dan.
Yes, thank you very much. So for Jeff S, the true knowledge of MCU's Bleeding Edge, who's going to be drunk later. Matt Sunner.
Definitely.
My name's Danny J. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, share the channel, share the episode. Until next time, keep your nose to the wind and your eyes to the stars. Have a great night, everybody.